How are you? How's everyone doing? Let's get started with the news. What's happening in the world? Let's go over the details of this operation that was reportedly carried out, according to reports, by US intelligence and Israeli intelligence. This was against a general from the same Revolutionary Guard, and also, well, another detail about what's happening in the world. Thank you for joining us. It's the last day of the month, May 31st, and well, the year 2026 is going by really fast. Let us know where you're watching or listening from. Thank you for letting us keep you company wherever you are. Let's get to the news, let's get to the details. In the meantime, go ahead and like and share. Let's go over the details of what's happening with this general, who would be key to Iranian operations. And things are happening inside Iran. Well, and intelligence is also moving quickly, and apparently there is no time. They're racing against the clock. This is what these kinds of operations are showing. Let's get into the details. Let's get to the news. Thank you very much for joining us. And let's start with today's images, right? This time, well, let's start with this image. We're seeing Petro's message, and we'll read it in a moment. But this time, a whirlwind, a tornado. What do you all think? Suddenly, this happens on a farm in China. Look at the poor cows. Well, nothing happened to them except for a scare, but still, obviously, they were really startled by this. Honestly, I would say this is more of a whirlwind, not a tornado, but it's still interesting nonetheless. The scare that the poor cows got didn't turn into anything worse, but that also happened. By the way, the weather is fine in China today, according to reports on May 31st. Also, this image we're seeing right now is surprising.
Here we're seeing it. Okay. Here we're seeing an attack that happened this morning. Sunday in Saratov, a region of Russia, actually in several regions at the Rosneft refinery, which has been the target of several Ukrainian attacks.
Well, from the main ones, no. There were already some first images in the morning, but more images keep coming out, which we can see here.
Here we're seeing another attack on another refinery. The attacks carried out by Ukraine today have been really impressive. This is in the Kirov region in Russia.
Yes, very good. So that's how things stand on that topic. Meanwhile, on the lighter side, on the good news, right, of the day, we have to look at this image because just look at this cute little thing you're seeing there. This isn't a Pokemon. It's one of the rarest animals in the world. Well, according to reports, it hadn't been photographed in the last 20 years. What's going on? What kind of animals? Or?
That animal, which by the way is critically endangered, is called the Ili Pika, which many of you probably don't know about. I've never seen it. It was rediscovered in China in 2014. It was rediscovered in 2014 by a conservationist named Li Weidong, and since 2014, it hasn't been seen again.
It's just too cute. Don't tell me that. Please, we have to protect this.
But they just saw it again after 20 years.
It's incredible.
Well, more than 20 years it disappeared the day it first appeared.
Between this and this, what's his name? Well,
more than 20 years.
Among these little animals that are endangered, that have been recovered, and birds, even worms, spiders, well, many, let's say, little animals that apparently had disappeared or that hadn't been seen again suddenly show up, in some cases. It's excellent news, since nature always surprises us. Hopefully we can protect this kind of species. It's called Ilipika. That's right, isn't it?
The name is beautiful.
Even the name sounds like a Pokemon. But this is from Japan, while these are from China. Pokemon belong to everyone. This is also another image that catches your attention. More than just an image, it's like a series of tweets that have been posted. These tweets are appearing on the account of a sergeant major, the chief of the United States Special Forces. But they're just posts. That's all they are. Well, they're pro-Iranian narrative posts. And according to what is believed, this general is supposedly being hacked, according to reports.
He's not the only one. The Obama White House page, also on Instagram, was just hacked too, with images supporting Iran.
Well, this is also a huge topic. Another image we see today is this one again. Don't ask me what it refers to or what it is.
Yes, a refinery. It was really tough. The attack was severe.
Well, the attacks on these refineries are tremendous. Another image that stands out is some of the reactions that have been happening regarding what happened in Colombia. Let's listen to this clip.
Question. President of the Republic has just spoken clearly about one of those situations.
Well, they talk about an alleged discrepancy, and that's why Petro doesn't accept the results of the first round of the Colombian elections, so to speak. The Colombian senator and veteran leftist Ivan Cepeda is now also refusing to accept the results of this first round. He accuses far-right militias and financial conglomerates of manipulating the vote. And well, Petro himself made this post, which also caught attention today. Gustavo, Petro makes a statement saying that the broadcasted count is not binding, and well, he goes on and on about it. The point is that it's striking that he doesn't want to acknowledge the elections when they don't favor him. Obviously not.
For now, international leaders have done what is being done right now, which is to ignore what the current president says, because lately they suddenly come out and do those things, and to congratulate Despriella on his victory in the first round. Now there's a second round left. Thank you.
So a second round, obviously it will be interesting to watch this issue, but as you can see, they're unsure obviously about the result. That's why they get into that topic. Well, they're going to deny the results, right? And this isn't a matter of left or right. I mean, it's something we see very often in some democracies, so to speak, whether it's Donald Trump or Petro or whoever you want. No. And well, some countries are different, and we have to acknowledge that, for example, Chile, when the left lost this time, they immediately came out to acknowledge the results. And I've seen that in Uruguay as well. They're countries with a lot of democratic maturity, but in other countries, well, they're taking a bit of a step back, at least some politicians. Not all, but some politicians. Obviously, there is a statement in which Iran's Mer News agency claims that after what appears to have been a series of reciprocal attacks between the United States and Iran, the aerospace forces of the Revolutionary Guard, in response to recent attacks by the United States, are targeting the airbase, possibly Al Salem in Kuwait. That is developing information.
Yes, right now Kuwait says it is repelling a wave of drone incursions.
Well, then at this moment, it could be said that an attack by Iran against Kuwait, targeting a US base, has now been confirmed. Be careful with that issue, because no, the matter isn't over. We're going to be talking about that topic in a moment. I mean, that's how it is. It's constantly changing. And this was published just a few minutes ago. I mean, otherwise it might have been today's headline. But anyway, we're going to be analyzing this. Meanwhile, let's talk about this operation that was carried out by Israeli and US intelligence. We're not going into that detail. Well, General Bahid Haqqan of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard is reported to have been killed in a targeted American-Israeli attack in Tehran, right in the capital. This general oversaw the import of satellite dishes for the Iranian state broadcaster IF and managed contracts with organizations like Katam al-Anabiya, which is linked to the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. In other words, we're discussing operations, even those with top officials involved. Operations like those involving this general are still happening right now, carried out by Americans and Israelis.
Exactly. Mossad intelligence is still operating, despite the pressure from the United States on Iran and despite these agreements. Well, and at the same time, we also see Iran continuing with its attacks, right?
Exactly. I mean, we're talking about constant reactions and counteractions. So I insist, far from a ceasefire, we should look at how oil is doing right now. But I think it went up a little. Nothing, let's say, too remarkable. But compared to the price on Friday, it probably went up a bit. Let's see if we can put it on the screen. It probably went up. What does it show there? Let's see. Yes, here it is, here it is, here it is. It probably went up from about $94 to $96. So that would be the movement. It's at 95.99, 96, 96. There, it already jumped. That's the price it's at. It's not a good price, but it's not terrible either, right? For now, it doesn't sound too bad after being near 120, though the price is still very high. But that's another story. Is there more information about this attack? Or is that all? That's all the information available. No.
In fact, it's only known through intelligence sources and on social media, where they started reporting about this person who had lost his life, well, who was killed. And right now, that's the information that's available.
Well, in response to this, there will surely be reactions from Iran at any moment. I don't know if this is already a reaction. I mean, what's happening right now in Kuwait might be a reaction, or maybe the attack was already pre-planned, right? Planned, and it's part of what's happening.
Also today, by the way, in the morning, well, no, in the afternoon, you were talking about the resignation attempt by the president of Iran, Masoud Pezeshkian, and well, has the government of Iran come out to deny this, claiming that all of this is misinformation from Israel?
Of course. I mean, they're never going to acknowledge that issue. He's not allowed to resign, period. There's no way he can resign. That's how they're going to want to handle it. That's going to be their narrative. Obviously, the one reporting it is Iran International, which isn't Israeli information. They're also quite critical of the Israelis, those from Iran International. So far, I've seen them as pretty reliable as a source of information. Let's say it comes from inside Iran. We have to remember that they're based in England. Iran International is a media outlet that obviously has to be in England, because inside Iran, they wouldn't be able to operate and truly talk about what's happening there. They have informants inside the Iranian government. So that's why we get to find out about many things very quickly.
Of course, in fact, they were among the first to confirm, for example, the fall of ECMNA. While many Western media outlets didn't dare to report it, they were already confirming it.
Yes, I remember it was like, well, that's what they're saying, right? Until it was confirmed. But of course, it's because they're there. At the end of the day, they have journalists inside. And right now what they're saying is that Masoud Pezeshkian has submitted his resignation. No, that's all. And no, this isn't the first time. I believe it's the third time he's submitted it. They obviously didn't accept it. They don't allow him to resign. He can't leave. He's there under the conditions that they, in the end, impose on him. There's also a report. And while we're waiting for more information about what's happening in Kuwait, there's a report it has to do with the way China is secretly helping Iran to keep its missile program going. What's going on there? What's the situation?
Well, according to reports, and there are investigations that confirm this, China was discovered providing fuel for Iran's missile program in a hidden way so that the United States and the West wouldn't notice. According to leaked documents linked to Haukum Energy and Iran's Revolutionary Guard, it was done through a shell company in Turkey, because apparently it seems like Turkey is always the one lending a hand to Iran and also to the United Arab Emirates, which is, well, also an interesting player there. In reference to China, the planned shipment is 10,000 tons of sodium perchlorate. What have we heard about that? This component is widely used for ballistic missiles and is enough raw material for approximately 2,500 ballistic missiles worth $43 million. And this draws attention. In fact, if you remember, a year or so ago, there was an explosion at a port in Iran, right? Because of this component, because of the sodium perchlorate.
Not as big as the one that happened in Lebanon, but it was also pretty strong. Yes. And well, this is a material that China sends. And with that, it helps keep the missiles they have operational.
Yes, China is playing both sides, right? On one hand, selling defense equipment to the United Arab Emirates, and on the other hand, selling perchlorate to Iran so they can launch their missiles. Now, the permits were approved through classified channels to conceal it and maintain confidentiality. Confidentiality. This is an operation carried out by the government while the United States is negotiating with Iran about weapons. Well, Beijing over there lends a hand to both sides.
Of course, I mean, they're negotiating with both sides. In the end, that's how China has handled things. Greetings, how are you? Rocio Davila, Martin Gutierrez, a big shout out. It says, what do you think about Venezuela? There's already unrest and calls for elections and quicker change, says Martin. Greetings, Martin. It's definitely necessary to have elections, definitely, and for the results to be respected. Also, a big shout out to MT. How have you been? He says even Facebook media talked about her not doing her homework. Greetings, MT. How have you been? Tapatia Plus, hello there. To Guillermo Nyongo and everyone in the community who's joining us, thank you so much for being with us. There are other important matters. Anything else on this? No, that's all. Let's move on. All right, check this out. Check out this image. Let's see if we can put it up here. According to reports, there was a magnitude 6 earthquake today, just a few hours ago. This happened over in Chile, a magnitude 6.0 earthquake. Let's refresh the US Geological Survey page to see if it's still the same. Yes, it stayed like that. It remained a 6.0, and a big shout out to everyone watching us from Chile. According to the reports, a magnitude 6.0 earthquake struck off the coast of Valparaiso. This is already the third aftershock. Besides the earthquake, there's a third aftershock happening right now. These aftershocks are around 4.9 like this one, with a depth of 10 kilometers. This other one is 4.4 with a depth of 10 kilometers. And this one is 4.8. That's what's being reported right now. It's this earthquake from Potempo, the strong one, let's say, although from what I understand, it wasn't felt strongly in Valparaiso. Well, you'll tell us if you felt it or if you didn't. Obviously, I'll be paying attention to the details that you share with us. Let's move on to the information, to what's happening in other news. By the way, just before anything else, there was an earthquake in Japan a few moments ago. This earthquake was a 5.7. That's the earthquake. Let me see if I can put it up there. There it is. Let's see how far Japan is. It's very far. Really far from here. This is the earthquake that happened. There are no reports of any problems, no island that has been put under any kind of tsunami alert. This also, according to the reports, happened about 20 minutes ago. So there's not much information yet, right? About 20 or 30 minutes ago, approximately, is when the earthquake happened. The one in Chile was about 5 or 6 hours ago, maybe a little more, but we're also keeping an eye on that situation. So, all right, let's get into the details. Let's talk about what's happening. Let's move on to other matters. All right, let's move on to the other important matters as well. Look, among today's other interesting stories, we're already used to Trump by now, but obviously we have to talk about this. Look, this is what Donald Trump published today, May 31st. This is criticizing what he calls CNN's fake news. Yes, and Trump says, today, as usual, they said, I remember. Nuclear with Iran. It doesn't talk about nuclear issues, when in reality it clearly states that Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. Then it goes on in considerable detail, discussing various aspects of nuclear issues. But the point is that that's the red line. Trump has said, supposedly CNN has data, like a leaked report, and they say that the nuclear issue isn't included. Okay, well, time will tell, right? In the end,
The agreement has to be made known.
it's going to be known exactly. Now, if suddenly they say yes, that China is going to handle it, that they're going to handle this.
Or that the agreement will remain secret for years.
If they don't handle it clearly, and you don't see US troops there collecting the materials together. If you want to do it with the Iranians or with the Chinese or with whoever you want, it means CNN was right and there was no agreement. And if it's open and clear that there is an agreement, then CNN was wrong. We'll have to see, or maybe not. But Trump has done this many times where he says one thing. The media, they tell him this is happening. And maybe what the media said gets confirmed, even though he said fake news, fake news, fake news. And it turned out they weren't as fake as he claimed. So, I insist, we'll have to see. Maybe there are cases that really are fake, or more than fake. Just a leaked report for some reason, right? So, well, that's what they're reporting for now. What does this mean and why does it bother Trump so much? It's not really about what CNN says or doesn't say. That's not really what's bothering him. Information is being leaked. I mean, people he trusts are leaking information to the media. And why are they making these leaks? Because obviously they're noticing that Trump is desperate to negotiate quickly and give certain concessions to the Iranians. And those who are negotiating are not. Well, the ones who are acting as intermediaries, right? I mean, the people who negotiate directly are Trump's buddies. But those who are in the middle don't agree. And when they don't agree, look, they leak the information to the media. That's always the way these kinds of people operate. They say, we don't agree, so we expose it and see what happens.
And it's someone very close. Because, for example, when this meeting was held on Saturday, not Friday, Saturday, where
From Lebanon.
And about Trump who was going to decide what was going to happen.
Final decision.
The final decision was on Friday.
This weekend on Friday. I think it was Friday.
Found out right away and said he didn't know what to do, that everything had stayed the same.
Tino Zanye, there was no final decision. There was no decision.
It just immediately gets leaked.
Exactly. But let's move on to other important matters. Happy Sunday to everyone joining now or from the start. Thank you very much. Let's move on to other important matters. Images from what's happening in Kuwait are already starting to come in. We're going to check it out right now and see what's going on with that topic. Because there are attacks from Iran again on a Gulf country and on a US base. This week, it's the second time they've attacked that base. By the way, Trump wasn't talking about that base. You know, Trump didn't mention that attack in Kuwait. I mean, there was an attack in Kuwait where there were US soldiers and contractors who suffered minor injuries. But either way, there were injuries. And it stands out to me that Trump didn't even want to discuss it, right? But look, there's a video circulating right now. Let's see if we can play it here. It's a video showing Ukrainians going up to the anti-drone roofs they have. Because there are drones flying around all the time, right? Obviously because it's a net in the end, right? There it is, and they're releasing this one, which is very nice.
Releasing, it's a pheasant, right?
I think so. It seems to be a type of pheasant. They're releasing it right there at that moment. Or maybe they're going to make soup out of it. I don't know. No, they're releasing it. They're letting it go. But it draws attention because, of course, that kind of net is being used a lot. Because when a drone hits the net, the drone explodes in the air. And, well, at least it can save your life. That's why there are a lot of roads and highways where they're putting up those barriers to protect against them. Russian drones in this case. So, well, we also see those camouflage nets that they put over Russian tanks and armored vehicles. And this, well, is one way of operating, but unfortunately it does have an effect on nature, obviously, right? Let's move on to other important matters. Go ahead and give us a like, share. If you're just joining, if you're watching us on replay. And thanks to the channel community members and everyone who supports us, including through Super Chat, giving us a like, you know, however you want to support us, it's always appreciated. sobre Kuwait. Well, those are the first images currently circulating of these missiles that are being, and well, it's being observed and there's an alert being issued by the US Department of Defense. What's going on there?
Well, to begin with, at 6 o'clock local time, Iran carried out a ballistic missile attack against Kuwait, probably targeting US forces. In response to this, CENTCOM at 6:15 confirmed that it is carrying out attacks on Iranian radar sites and command and control centers for drones that, well, have been used earlier this week. So they started just now, and let's say it's crossfire, so to speak, right?
Hey, well, this situation is really intense. And okay, this map you were showing me here, what's going on?
But right now, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard has also announced that its ballistic missile attack on the Ali al-Salam airbase was in retaliation for a US airstrike that hit a telecommunications tower on Sirik Island. That's the one right there with this dot. Look here. Oh.
I don't think you can see it.
Can't really see it.
You can't really see it.
This is how you can see it in the image here. And it was done about an hour before the missile launch. So the first was this attack on Sirik Island. And the attack on Cuba is basically a response to this United States attack on Sirik.
Sirik. So who was first?
The United States, apparently. Well, that's what Bolsonaro's labor body says.
Let's see. Well, supposedly the Iranians also believe so, but they say that the United States supposedly attacks in Sirik, right?
And an hour later, they launched the missiles.
And an hour later, then Iran responds by firing at Kuwait. Anyway, supposedly these two attacks are happening. The one on Kuwait is already mentioned by two countries. I mean, Iran mentions it and Kuwait mentions it. And well, and the United States, so three countries mention it. So I think the thing about Kuwait is totally confirmed. And about Sirik, well, let's say according to the Iranians, that attack is happening, which wouldn't surprise me either. I mean, given how things are, well, there's not much of a ceasefire. I mean, they're taking out a general inside Iran by Israeli and US intelligence. Well, I think it really draws a lot of attention. And I think these are already attacks with ballistic missiles and drones. Apparently, that's at least what's being reported right now. In fact, the one that goes by there, the image at the beginning, well, that's a missile, not a drone. So they leave that trail, let's say the missiles.
Yeah, drones don't leave trails.
Exactly. So, well, anything else about this matter?
No, nothing else. Let's see how it develops as things continue to unfold.
Let's go. Exactly. It's obviously still developing. A big shout out to my namesake, Jose Zarate, also to Tapatia Plus. How are you, Tapatia?
Hello, Tapatia. Greetings.
Yeah. Greetings to Gabriel Duran Castro. Also big greetings to Marcela and Francisco Arce. I don't know if our Chilean friends have already commented on how the earthquake was, if they felt it or not. Greetings. My mom says greetings. She says you look like her cousin Astrid. Watching you on TV.
What's more, Astrid, too?
I think it's her cousin. And that's it. She does it. She's watching you on TV from Tijuana.
Greetings all the way to Tijuana.
Greetings, Hugo. How have you been?
The cousins are really beautiful. Things.
Thank you so much. This one says yes. Oh, yes. He's handsome.
Yes, of course. It says, Nina, how have you been? In life, Christmas, Christmas in the snow and in the sand. It says, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Nina. This, Mercedes, how have you been? Greetings, Mercedes. Hello there. Sol Garcia, how have you been, Mercedes? All the way to Tijuana. Sol Garcia, where are you writing to us from? Sol, I'm going to lose my train of thought for a moment. Big shout out to the whole community. Well, listen, at one point, I really felt like spring seemed more like Christmas than anything else. Remember when I said it felt like Christmas because of the weather? Now it's actually hot.
The heat is returning, but look, it's coming.
Again, there's a bunch of rain coming here in Mexico. Look, don't overdo it. They say it lasts until the 3rd.
Let's move on and discuss that topic soon.
Okay.
Yeah, let's get to that right now because, well, yeah. I mean, it looks like everything's going to be really green by the time everyone coming for the World Cup arrive.
Right? Or maybe I know the water washed them away.
Let's move on to other important matters. To continue with what's happening in the Middle East, there's the issue that Iran has an interim defense minister right now, right? According to this, he insists there will be, this was said before events in Kuwait and before what's happening right now. But earlier today, he gives a report in which he insists or promises that there will be surprises if the negotiations don't succeed or get stalled. And I mention it mainly because the Minister of Defense hardly even shows up. I mean, It seems strange to me. Yes.
No.
I don't even remember his name.
No. And since he's interim, well, no. But anyway, what does he say? Because, well, now he's the one handling it.
But we need to go back a little and remember that, well, according to three officials, today officials from the United States informed the New York Times that Trump had toughened the conditions and that this could be, that in this agreement, this is basically a no again. Okay? Once again, we're hitting a wall. After this, Tasmin responds, as you mentioned.
Yes.
An Iranian media outlet stated that any agreement changes would be rejected unless everything was thoroughly reviewed. And well, in response to this, there's also a reaction from the interim Minister of Defense, who, when this started to spread on Tasnim, assured that Tehran, well, has no intention whatsoever of accepting the changes made by Washington, and that there will be resistance to these. And he promised new surprises, suggesting that Iran sees this change as a pressure tactic and not simply as a step to improve negotiations. They are aware that these changes they are once again meant to go beyond their red lines. It's just that one side's red lines are the other side's red lines too. Of course. This clearly means more complications in the negotiations, which haven't progressed at all. Honestly, every day we see the same terrible things happening, and Iran keeps denying exactly the same issue. And well, the thing is, it doesn't look like things are going to get any better from either side.
Well, let's move on to other matters, shall we? Let's talk about other topics, but this is really intense. So, the Minister of Defense is already going along with that plan. Well, this is basically maximum alert, right? They're operating, and we're seeing it live. We're seeing how things are happening, so it seems like the agreement is more... I'm surprised that the price isn't already reaching $100. I do see that it's going up. Just now we saw that it barely reached 96 and even 96.21, and it's going up. But well, let's see what happens, right? Let's see how they resolve this. And here, a big question people in Magulandia ask us is about the World Cup. Because when things happen and start getting complicated, everyone starts thinking again, what's going to happen with the World Cup? No. Because it was thought that they would try to buy time to avoid having a conflict in the middle of the World Cup and at least have a ceasefire. It would be a very strange situation if Iran were playing soccer in a country with which they are literally in an active conflict. If there were at least a ceasefire, you could say that, but it's still ongoing. That really stands out to me. Yes, they're going to be sleeping on the Mexican side, but they're still going to go play over there on that side, right? So that's also going to be interesting to see, isn't it? And regardless of who is playing, as soccer players, one thing is sports, another thing is politics and geopolitics. But what's interesting is that several of their players did the service they have to do with the Revolutionary Guard. Not all of them do it. It's not something that everyone is required to do. And that's why there were sanctions for some of their players. That's why who knows how they're going to handle the legal part? Who knows how they're going to want to manage it, right?
Yes. Well, actually, yesterday Iran was complaining to FIFA that the United States hadn't given them entry visas so they could participate in the World Cup. Not yet. It's just that they have a lot of issues with the visas. They're not the only ones. Well, Iran for obvious reasons, right? Yes. But it's not the only country having problems with the United States over player visas not being processed, which shouldn't be happening, right?
Well, honestly, does anyone really think Iran wants to negotiate? I feel like Iran simply doesn't want to negotiate.
I don't want to.
And the United States has already realized that. That's why they're a bit desperate. Desperate. They want to negotiate. They don't want to wait anymore. But at the same time, there are operations happening like the one with the general, which the media says is a US-Israeli intelligence operation. Honestly, I think it's Israeli. I don't think it's American, but that's what they're claiming now. Neither Israel nor the United States will acknowledge it, at least for now. Maybe Israel will admit it later. Yeah, they sometimes acknowledge certain intelligence matters. But I don't think the United States is going to acknowledge it right now because they're trying to negotiate. So that's also interesting, right? Well, anyway, let's move on to other important matters. I want you to consider the following for our friends who are in Mexico, the United States, Central America, and South America. What will the next 15 days be like in terms of rainfall? I don't want to make the report too long. I just want you to keep it in mind and take this information into account. You already have your own meteorologists, your own events in your countries or in your local areas. But it does catch my attention, and it's something interesting. It's even concerning for some areas that are going to have excessive amounts of water. Look, for example, this area in the center of the country, it's too much water. We're talking about over there between Veracruz, Tuxtepec, Tehuacan, all this area towards Puebla. Let's say the amount of water that's coming. What we're seeing here is the amount of water that's going to arrive in 15 days. Don't think it's all in one day, but even so, it's a lot of rain. It's going to be very rainy. They're coming from June 1st to the 15th, which is as far as I can see, until the 14th. Actually, until the 14th, from the 1st to the 14th, that's the amount of water that's going to fall across the country. Look, even for us, it's not bad at all. I mean, it's pretty good. But with others, it's 72 millimeters, and that's what I get. I'm satisfied with 72 millimeters in 15 days, but 300 millimeters in some areas, like for example, Veracruz, Tehuacan, Puebla, over there. Well, hey, that's a lot of rain. So especially, well, for example, towards Guadalajara, yes, towards Lázaro, towards Michoacán, towards Manzanillo, I mean, towards Guadalajara and this whole area to the west, let's say, well, no, it's not that much water. It's just that, you know, there are areas of the country that have problems, for example. Also for Mexico City, they're going to report more than 100 millimeters of water, 147 millimeters of water in areas where there could be flooding, water accumulation, and all that. Be careful. It's just that I live near one. Well, you know how it is, right? So get ready. Friends who live in areas with some risk. Be prepared and stay alert because the next 15 days are going to be very active when it comes to rain. The Pacific coast is bringing a lot of water, and it's not just for Mexico. I'm telling you this because it's a lot of water. But in Florida, greetings to Cardan, whom I haven't seen in a while. Big greetings. I hope you're doing well. You're probably working, and I always appreciate that you connect whenever you can. Well, this whole area, let's say the southeast of the United States, we're talking about Texas, we're talking about the northeast of the United States. I mean, towards New York, even further up, like the Great Lakes states, everything that's Illinois, Michigan, etc. I mean, states like these are going to have tremendous rainfall. In the first 15 days, June will bring heavy rain to the central, eastern, and southeastern United States, as well as the Caribbean, including Cuba. Sur, the entire south, the center and south of the country, even up to part of the north from Mexico. Also rain where I pointed, where there isn't rain, there's not even a drop. Basically, it's over there for our friends in California and also in Baja California Sur, and Sonora.
With extremely high temperatures, up to 45 degrees.
It's intense, right? That's a lot of heat. What else are they saying about Baja California? How are things there?
Well, the rest of the Pacific is also going to have pretty high temperatures, between 35 and 45 degrees. But for Mexico, specifically, from Tuesday, June 2nd to June 4th, there will be heavy rains that will continue in much of Mexico. This is due to tropical waves. Yes, this place won't be until next week, so until the 14th,
The Meteorological Service obviously only mentions it until the 4th because they go for a shorter time frame. I'm extending it because I wanted to look further ahead, which is as far as the windy report lets me see. And it's quite a lot of water. It's water. A lot of rain is coming for Mexico, for the United States, in the east and west. Calm. Very, very, very calm, right? In that sense. But for Central America, that's another story. We're talking about El Salvador, for example. Just take a look at this. 194 millimeters for Nicaragua, well, actually all of Central America, pretty much all of Central America, has chances of heavy rain at times. It's not 15 days of rain, obviously, but during these next 15 days at some point, the chances of rain are very high, right? The same goes for South America, Venezuela, Colombia, Suriname, and Guyana. Even a good part of northern and central Peru will have rain or chances of rain. Significant ones. Northern Bolivia as well. Paraguay. Look, rain. I think that's good news for Paraguay, for Argentina, for Chile, especially northern Argentina, as well as northern Uruguay and northern Chile. It's also with a higher chance of heavy rain, especially in Chile. Quite a lot of rain. Look, it's actually the center and south of Chile, not the north. Northern Chile. The north is always drier and usually gets less rain. Center and south of Chile, that's where it will rain. Quite a lot of rain, right? That too. Well, leaving that topic aside, of course, how is the rain situation going to be? Just quickly, for our friends watching us over there in Spain. Very calm. The first 15 days start with little rain and probably a lot of heat, because that's how it's been, right? Or do you see it that way? I mean, it's just that tomorrow, the 1st of June, well, at least in the south, temperatures are going to be around 36 degrees Celsius. In much of the south and some central areas, temperatures will be around 30 degrees. A little bit in the north too, but in the southern part, like in Andalusia, it's going to be really hot in Spain. Yeah, that too. Well, no, there's no rain or no significant rain expected for the first 15 days. But yeah, that's right. Well, there's a lot of heat, and little rain. That's not a good thing. Let's move on to other topics. Let's go to the comments. How have you been, Adrian Gilbert? Here in Barcelona, it's going to rain on Thursday. Well, I hope so. Look over there towards the south. At least here, from what I can see in the northern part, I mean, towards this area. Well, Barcelona is the only area that shows a chance of rain in the... I'm looking up to the next 15 days. Sorry. There it is. This is the water accumulation for the next 15 days throughout all of Spain. And well, it's practically the only area that's more or less going to have rain, right? There you have Barcelona. And basically, that's the area that, well, there are other regions that will have chances of rain. Obviously not much. But in general, there isn't a lot of rain, especially if we compare it to what we've been seeing, for example, over in France. You can see the amount of rain that's coming for France, northern Italy, and some countries like Austria itself, which will have a lot of rain in the first 15 days. We're just seeing that the month of June is about to start, and well, over there in Spain, it's already the 1st of June. They're already in the next month, and well, that's how things are. Greetings to Adrian Gilbert in Spain, says Mercedes. Well, here in Tijuana, it was sunny, but in the shade, it was a bit cool, and now it's cold. Very nice. Also, Mercedes, if I'm not mistaken, you're near the coast, right? So the Pacific breeze is always cool. Well, I feel like yes, from the little experience I have of knowing that area, it's always warm during the day. But at night, it really cools down. It's actually cold, right? Here, the wind at night comes when it's hot. When it's hot, it's really hot. Sending greetings to Mercedes. Great, that's what they say.
Omar says, oh, I live in the central part of Veracruz and I've already seen the amount of rain that's coming these days, so I'm well prepared, and yes.
Be careful there, get ready. I send you greetings. Thank you for being a member of the channel. By the way, the members, says Leon, cheers. Salud.
Greetings to Sylvia, how are you?
Sylvia says, cheers, Sylvia. Pepe says, Astrid. Leonardo says, I would like information about who is benefiting from the conflicts in the world. Who are the most affected? That's fine. Go ahead with the list of them. Corporations, institutions, governments that might be benefiting the most. That's a good topic. Let me check and we'll do it. Leonardo, thank you very much. Let's go.
Rosalinda Morales in Mexico City says it's only rained for 2 days with little rain and plenty of sun. And Martin Gutierrez on the blue moon. Is it today? Martin asks.
Yeah.
We're not sure yet, but we'll let you know. We'll check Luz and Nina, and if excess heat becomes vapor, it will cause extra rain. That's how it's always been. Cheers, Nina.
Cheers, Nina. How have you been?
Okay. Greetings to Rocio Davila. How are you? And she also says, how are you? Magulandia says she's fine. Bielsa hasn't beaten anyone. He's a romantic. We need a Uruguayan coach outside the final third. They're talking about soccer. Greetings, Magulandia and Adrian Gilbert. How are you?
Adrian, what's up? Miguel Magulandia, Nina. Who is it right now? I mean, those who are known in soccer, because I'm sure there are several here. Who are like the top 3 coaches who are at the World Cup right now? So like the ones you would say are the best coaches or the best coaching staff out there. Let's see if they give us that info. I'm surprised some countries have pulled off surprises. What they were talking about yesterday about Japan, about the progress they've made. Why is that? Is it because they have good coaches, or what is it? Which one is it? Diverse. Poor guys. Who else is around? Well, they were saying Morocco. That's what I heard. Well, I'm talking about countries that aren't the usual ones like Spain, Argentina, or Brazil. Just saying hi. How have you been? Hi there. He says, Carleto Ancelotti. Oh, I don't know. Who is Carleto Ancelotti? This is Carleto Ancelotti, right? That would be one of them. Okay. Who else?
Greetings to Seman Rade as well this week. And Robles says it's raining every day in Cuba. Greetings.
He is the coach of Italian soccer, but he didn't make it to Italy, as we said today.
Greetings, Roberto.
Or maybe it was the Italian. I don't know. Is he going to be in the World Cup, or what's going on?
He is there. He doesn't say. The worst sunburn I've ever gotten was in Los Cabos. I love it. But just a 3-block walk to the mall, and I couldn't sleep because of the pain from the sunburn you mentioned. For me, the worst sunburn I've ever gotten was in Durango. I was making a documentary for a job I had, well, let's say job in quotes, because they didn't pay me, and I got a blister. I swear, look, from here all the way to the other side of my neck, it was just one big blister. Well, I think so. Pain was horrible. I mean, when I took a shower and the water touched it, it felt like knives. Really awful. Honestly, never again. There's something about that jerk. Only the one from Durango hurts him, which really gets to me.
Greetings. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but Ancelotti, the coach of Brazil. So Carlos Ancelotti was Italian, or is Italian, and they made him Brazilian. So he's not anymore. No. So is Scaloni from Argentina. He says those would also be some of the famous ones. No, and he's Italian. He was the coach of Real Madrid, Milan, and now he's the Brazilian head coach. Well, the combination is interesting. Yes, a head coach at Real Madrid's level. With this level of Brazilian player, it'll be interesting to follow him there, especially the technique.
Pablo Lilio says football is a big business, but the ticket prices to attend the matches are exorbitant at the World. I've always thought there's a football mafia. What I'm seeing, at least in the forums, is that a lot of people from the United States who can't afford tickets there are coming here. As they say, I'll go to Mexico because it's cheaper here than there.
Nice thing, right? Now we have this gentrification of plane tickets here too.
Gentrification happens quickly unless it's given to you for free.
No, it's just that some people are willing to invest.
There are people who are willing to invest.
But look, it was a hassle because
It's not like that. You don't get them that easily either.
they're hard to buy. Usually you have to win a lottery to get one. Me, I entered the lottery, and if I got it, well, I didn't really know what to do because honestly, I would call my brother and tell him like, you take them or whatever, since he's more into soccer, and maybe he would invest in them. I don't know. But actually, he was the one who told me about it. He said, maybe you should try it and see if you get in.
Who wins?
I'm not going to buy. I mean, come on. It's hard to win them on the first try. And he also said, nobody I know, at least as far as I know, they're going to the World Cup.
Novak's dad says, family joke. What are you playing with, son? With whatever comes out of my balls. I don't like you talking like that. Well, then don't buy me anymore. Kinder surprise.
Well, he's playing with whatever comes out of his balls.
Literally, Magulandia tells me. But now I understand why Mexico isn't a world champion. Aren't people into soccer in Mexico? Or what do they put in the tacos? They're super into soccer here in Mexico.
We're soccer fans.
But most of us.
In our case, specifically, we're not that into soccer. That topic hasn't really drawn us in. But well, for this reason, I honestly prefer the Olympics. I mean, I never miss them. And here we are all day long. The Olympics are always on. And the kids too, you realize that all day we're focused on that, especially track and field. We watch everything we can. Yes. But this one, no. Not us in particular.
Even the winter ones.
Yes. Even the winter ones too. Yes. But for example, yes. Well, good friends and family. Passionate. You have no idea. I mean, and super passionate about soccer, about the teams they support, and about the national team. Not so much, because before there used to be a bit more passion for the national team. Yes, it's exciting when they go, but not anymore. Now they're more critical of the national team. It's different because, for example, those passionate about soccer will go to Tigres or Sanchez instead. I mean, whichever team you want, they're passionate and they follow them and everything. Although also, for example, if you notice, like many of our friends, they do get discouraged. When the team does badly, after 2 or 3 seasons, you start to see, well, a kind of discouragement. I mean, you see them cheering, watching the games, but they're not really into it anymore. And I love soccer, but I'm not a fan of any teams or players at all. So you just love soccer as a sport, right? That's cool.
Thank you, Emma. Pepe says he's done. He already used your OXXO card. Thanks again, Emma.
Thank you, Emma, and everyone in the community supporting us in various ways. Details are in the description. Obviously, the most used one is the super chat, which is here, or the membership, which is also greatly appreciated. And there are other ways too, right?
Sylvia says, she says to me, I don't like soccer. I have a lot of enemies in Argentina. Here they're crazy about soccer. It really surprises me how passionate Argentinians are about soccer.
Yes.
And I've especially noticed it because of this comedian, Lucho. Because of Lucho Mellera, because a lot of relationship problems are because of soccer, because the husband goes to play on the weekend and they don't see him all weekend. I mean, that's really strange to me. Greetings from Marcela. Greetings to Cebola Bonita. Now, it's not for us, she says. Oh my God, Pepe, please put up a picture. Yeah. I'm looking for it. The Spanish national cricket team. They have a cricket team. Wow, says Adrian. A picture of the team. Also, let's see if there's any dialogue. Francisco Arce Garcia, the Argentinians and Brazilians are really into soccer, but in Mexico, not so much. Well, yes, if we measure it that way, yes, of course, in Brazil, especially, it's huge. Panterita says, we beat Australia. We just beat Australia. Look at that. It hadn't even crossed my mind, Panterita.
Crazy.
That's crazy. It was a friendly match, I imagine.
He says, do it to the national team. For 4 years, we cursed them out, but on June 11th, we'll be there again. All made up with the team. Yeah, that's true. Until, well, greetings to Martin. He says, when I was in Mexico, Martin says there was a lot of fanaticism in Mexico for American football. It depends on where you go.
Yes. No. Actually, yes, it's widespread. Yes, Mexico City, it's huge. In the south too, when in Quintana Roo it was extreme, or they were... No, yes.
That happened to me too.
Yes. No, they even play rugby there.
Yes, rugby.
They even play rugby and all that, yes.
But because of the Italians.
Right? Yes, because a lot of people come, a lot of Italians, but also a lot of people from Mexico City, and they get into it. I mean, so yes. There's a lot of passion for American football. Seriously. It's one of the things they watch the most when there's the Super Bowl and all that stuff. Thank you very much, Nova's dad.
What?
Huge shout out. Thank you so much for that amazing support. Thank you so much. The story about cricket is really great. Well, Spanish, I'm getting into it here because of Adrian, right?
It's just that for many people like now.
Yeah, sometimes they're amateurs. I mean, no, because, well, no. I mean, obviously, cricket isn't played in Spain, but obviously there's a large Arab community, right? And so they put together the amateur national team. Check out what it says in that sports article. It says Spain dreams of the Cricket World Cup with amateur players and only one sponsor. Obviously, well, no. There aren't any sponsors for this kind of sport. It's not, it's really unusual. It's not common in Spain. He says, there's just one blonde guy. Two blondes. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 2. And they didn't include them just to prove it's from Spain.
That it's diverse, that it's inclusive.
He says, the Spanish cricket team is in the United Kingdom facing the biggest challenge in its history, the possible qualification for the Cricket World Cup, which will be held in India and Sri Lanka. In 2026, organized by the International Cricket Council, the ICC, that's crazy. I have absolutely no idea how cricket is played, but I only know about hitting the ball and that Indians get really excited about it, right?
Yes, no. Now in Pakistan, it's the real deal.
Yeah, right over there in that area. Well, they even had a president who was an athlete, what's it called? A cricket player, right? Yeah. Ade says, people are really passionate about American football.
And here, flag football is played a lot. And Mexico is really good at flag football. You might see it at the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics with Mexico's flag football. It will be Tochito, what we know as Tochito. That's what it will be. But yes, well, I remember right now that Pepe is saying that the NFL, for example, That's why they brought in Bad Bunny at the last Super Bowl, right? Because the idea is to do that, create franchises in Mexico, in Latin America in general. Because yes, well, you see that some of them play 1 or 2 games here in Mexico because they've realized there's a lot of potential, right? Yes. As customers, as a market.
I mean, UNAM American football has been around for decades. I mean, there are movies from what's it called, the golden age of cinema and so on, where you see games with UNAM, with American football. American football has been played in Mexico for a long time, even if it doesn't seem or sound very Mexican. But yes, right? Let's see.
If Pakistanis play cricket, which is English.
Baseball too. Baseball here is really popular with a lot of communities. It really catches on. In the center and south, it's more popular. In the north, there are the sultanes. And also in Sonora and Sinaloa, it's played a lot. But I feel like it hasn't excited people as much as soccer.
Roblox says here in Mexico, soccer has already become a blatant and soulless business, says Roblox. And here, Adrian Gilberto Gilbert is a reflection of society. By the way, the blonde guy is from Scotland or Ireland. I mean, it even causes a lot of divorces because of soccer over there in Argentina. It's just crazy. Honestly, when I hear about these problems, I think this really is there are already men who, at least the ones who go on that show, you say it's just not normal for soccer to be more important than your partner and your kids. I mean, that's just not normal. It's not normal. Greetings to Karim Karel, who says Argentina lacks passion for the political soccer World Cup.
Yes.
And because of the economic downturn, says Karim. No, it's like a slump, of course.
Yeah. Greetings, Karim. Huge greetings also to Miguel Martin. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Miguel, for the super chat.
He says hello, greetings to Macau.
To Macali.
The second home of people from Monterrey.
He sends greetings to the whole Pepe Nautas community in Macali. Great, Miguel Martin. Many thanks for your support for the whole community there in Texas, a community that's grown over time. A big hello to everyone watching us from over there. Greetings. Panderita says, I'm very normal. He says, okay.
Okay, Panderita Magulan says it's good to know. He says soccer is like a disease here too. But the term futbolero is about being a winner. And Mexico. Well, Mexico is respectfully what, Magulan? Panderita says, I am a woman passionate about soccer. I am very normal.
That's the second part, I think.
Yeah.
He says there are a lot of people obsessed with soccer. I don't really like it that much either. And Karim says, look, greetings, Karim. You're one of the rare ones in Argentina. Greetings to Leonardo. He says, I wonder if soccer players could go on strike to end the war. No, that's not going to happen.
Yes. No. I mean, what could actually happen is that Iran's national team, right? Or some players might suddenly say, well, no. I mean, they might protest against the regime or something like that. But I think it's difficult right now. I think it's because of what happened in Australia. Where did they do that?
The girls
From soccer.
who wanted to run away. Well, they wanted to run away in the end. So what are they called? They were extorted. They were blackmailed through their families. I think only 1 or 2 were able to stay. But all the others brought someone who was basically, well, a guard, right?
Yes.
Who didn't let them go anywhere. That's the reason.
Several who had requested asylum in Australia went back anyway because, well, their families were being threatened. So I think this team from Iran that's going, I imagine they're already being heavily threatened. I mean, I don't think they're going to be given any opportunity for anything. He says, Cantinflas movies, Cantinflas playing American football. Look at that, Magulandia. How crazy. Vic says, we're supporting Argentina because it's Messi's last tournament, but Portugal could win. So it's between Argentina and Portugal, with Portugal a strong contender. There's also, obviously, Spain, right? So who else? There were 4 teams that show up the most in the AIs and all that.
He says, yes, really. I watched the United States versus Senegal match. They scored a goal for the United States, Azul, and it was offside. Very, very obvious. It was very obvious to everyone. A few minutes later, they changed the scoreboard without saying anything, just like nothing happened. Really pathetic. How crazy, how crazy. Oh. Pablo says, I don't like soccer and I can't stand the fans. Also, now it really bothers me that when a team loses a game, the fans become violent inside and outside the stadium. Pablo says, greetings, Pablo.
Greetings, Pablo. How have you been?
Greetings also to Martinez in Argentina and to soccer because of Italian migration. Yes, yes, yes. It's really in their blood. So, once we watched a really good documentary about, do you remember about the supporters groups? It was about the supporters groups in Argentina. No, it was from Monterrey because there was a time when the Rayados had a really strong supporters group. In fact, one of the guys even lost his life in one of these, one of the ones who was kind of famous, lost his life in one of these fights. Lamel. And after the games, but I was talking about like how the excess passion for soccer is related to countries with economic problems. I mean, like you channel it there, all the energy, all that bad feeling that the economy isn't good in your country, you channel that passion into soccer, let's say. It's cathartic for those in economically troubled countries, which you can see in places where people are especially passionate. There are economic problems, or they belong to a particular group that has an economic problem. Do you remember that?
Yes, yes, of course. Do you remember the documentary's name?
The documentary? Yes, I remember. Zapatero says the jewels are inherited. I saw that too. Maybe they're from Cleopatra. Why?
Well, impressive. I already saw them. I hadn't seen those little jewels before.
Yes, yes, yes. They do look old and all that. But I imagine that with that level of jewels, I suppose under their laws, they have to be reported, I guess. I don't know. But that's usually how it is. Especially since you're talking about things that are very, very expensive, right? We're talking, well, I saw some videos of jewelry analysts and, well, it's not just a small fortune, right? What those little jewels cost, let's say, right? Supposedly inherited, right? Favorites include Spain and France. Among the teams that still haven't been champions, Portugal could be one, right? It would be the first in their history. Cheers, says Patan, enjoying himself. He says they even left him inheritances. I know, right?
It's inheritances everywhere. Greetings.
He hired a secretary who liked Chivas while her husband supported America. When America won, they wouldn't speak to each other. Since her husband was the driver, they'd take me along, so I was caught in the middle, he says. Yeah.
Greetings.
How complicated.
Neri Salazar, how have you been?
Great.
Yes, yes, exactly. Political protests are prohibited within FIFA matches.
We won't see anything during the matches. Outside, who knows? Yes, all of that is highly regulated.
Good point, good point. Let's go. Let's go, guys.
Remember that we're on WhatsApp, we're on Telegram, notifications always come through there. And we're also on Facebook, X, and Instagram.
Hugs, take care, have an excellent end of the month, and I hope everything goes well for you this June. See what surprises this month brings, right? We'll see.
We interrupt your regular programming. Dual. Thank you for tuning into the truth. This is...
PP Live. The truth is intense. Pure. The unusual is real. Pure. Here we analyze it from a global perspective. Don't miss out. Tune into the channel. PP Live. In control of the airwaves. Pepe and Astrid. Telling it like it is. Raw journalism. Respected here. Turn on alerts. Don't lose track. Until next time. Yes, sir.
We're taking attendance.